So SCP SL recently dropped a big teaser for their next major update, and all clues point to a new playable SCP. Some people have already discussed the likely candidates, but I don't think it's neither of the most popular theories and instead is a completely different SCP. So today I'll analyze all of the clues we have for this SCP and then disqualify the least likely ones and explain which and why are actually the most likely ones to be added. So without any waits, let's get right into it. Let's first analyze all of the clues we have from this paper teaser Northwood gave us. We know it's from Site 17, it's key to and involves the Ethics Committee, which means it's something that needs to be a humanoid and not some eldritch horror SCP nobody cares about. These clues immediately narrow down the list of all SCPs in Site 17 by a lot. However, if we add more factors, we can decrease this number even more. Firstly, let's count in that this game is made by an indie studio, so I don't think they're interested in adding an SCP that requires 20 GB of assets and a bazillion lines of code. It needs to be something accessible, something that's possible to balance and put into a gameplay loop of SCP SL without being too boring. That immediately eliminates like 80% of the list, and the only realistic candidates that fit all of the requirements are SCP-953, which is the most popular theory. Then we have SCP-752, which I think is the most likely, and we also have SCP-4051 and SCP-239. So now let's firstly talk about SCP-953 and why she could be added and why I think she won't be added. Who is SCP-953? It's a polymorphic humanoid which most commonly takes the shape of a young attractive Korean woman. She can take the appearance of any person who she kills, but always retains some features of her true fox form, like for example fox ears, a tail, claws, and etc. Now right off the bat we got two big problems here. Number one, it's a woman. The devs added a fucking mutated apex predator which had an unusually tiny bigger booty model, and the SL community goons to it till the end of ages. Adding an actual woman to this game will be straight up devastating. God forbid one with fox features or even voice lines. Like I don't even know where to begin. People will be roleplaying and saying unholy things every round. There will be endless art, memes, and more. Adding this SCP will literally be the industrial gooning revolution of SCP SL. And the other problem is like I don't know how would you add this SCP in an interesting way. Her main abilities, if she were to be added, will be disguising as humans, using her claws to slash, and she could also do some basic mind control abilities. And we already have an SCP that can disguise himself, and most people hated him due to his annoying ass unfair gameplay. Besides, what's even the point of letting her disguise if you could tell what she is by her fox features? However, a thing to note is that it's canon within the SL lore that the SCP objects in Site 02 have mutated. So sure, she could have a mutation upgrade and hide those properties, but like I swear, if out of all the cool SCP options we get an OnlyFans version of the skeleton and SCP-939, I think I might just end it all. Besides, I'm not too confident Northwood employees even know what a woman is, which adds a big layer of difficulty when it comes to designing and modeling, so yeah, that will probably require another multi-$1,000 plushing campaign to figure out. To conclude, SCP-953 is definitely a possibility, but if she gets added, I don't think she will have an attractive female form and will probably have mutated abilities which aren't part of the normal lore. That is if we assume Northwood doesn't wanna capitalize off a Gunner revolution. The next candidate is SCP-752-1. Now SCP-752 itself is a big underground city inside a cave system which was artificially created by a group of scientists but eventually abandoned. They have their own society and a population of 10,000 genetically engineered humanoids. They basically function like a hive mind and are technologically advancing rapidly and are expected to surpass humanity soon if not stopped. Now there's many, and I mean many, things to cover here. First, let's note that SCP-752-1 instances are basically humans, but they have lived in a completely alternative society for a long time, which means even though an ethics committee was required, they are in reality nowhere near humans. I mean, in their society, cannibalism and killing handicapped people is not only acceptable but required. The biggest thing about SCP-752 is that it's basically an unfinished article. There's many details we don't know about. In fact, the only things we know about it are leftover logs of its previous creators. This SCP was created by a group of scientists and philosophers under the alias Eudomion, with the intent of creating an ideal society. They left them equipment and parts to speed up their development, but also put a massive impenetrable shield around them so they cannot leave. Anyways, to summarize the logs, it's been 70 years since the creation of this society, and its population is beginning to accelerate even more. Due to these large nursery structures, they don't know what's within. The group Eudomion all operated under codenames like Alpha, Gamma, Beta, and so on, and Alpha 1 was the project leader. After a while, their society is becoming too brutal and is hiding things from them, so one of the scientists, Gamma, tries to investigate but gets slaughtered by the SCP-752-1s. Most of Eudomion think things are getting too out of hand and stage a coup against the project leader because he's not taking any action against this rapid uncanny development, and they do actually succeed after a few complications. After that, they close off all entrances to the society and hope they never learn about the world outside. Now this leaves us with a lot of mystery. Will these guys ever get out? What's happening in those massive nursery buildings, and much more I didn't even mention from this article. And this is kind of perfect for Northwood. They can shape this article however they want to fit it in the game or implement it with its lore. But now let's talk about some possible in-game and article hints that may be confirming my theory. Remember when 14.0 dropped and later on the nuke was reworked? Well, in the reworked nuke there was this mystical graffiti. Some of the lore hunters partially translated and connected this to an 05-13 and Site 45. But let's just ignore all of that and observe how many things here are connected to SCP-752. First of all, we have the eyes. Now this to me symbolizes either a hive mind or some entity with like a bazillion eyes. And SCP-752 SCP-752-1's quite literally function like a high mind with serving the greater good in mind. Next up, we have these symbols right here. Now during one of the final logs of SCP-752 where the coup happens, we can read this. Nevertheless, the coup was a success. We still don't know what's in those buildings, but considering what happened to Gamma, we're not touching it. Alpha 1, 2 and 5 escaped. The others are dead or captured. And these symbols, if we ignore some parts of it, are an actual alphabet, coincidentally enough align together to read out the code names of all of the last scientists involved. We have an A for Alpha, an upside down Gamma, which could be upside down because he died or something, I don't know. 2 is 2, 1 is 1 and 4 plus 1 is 5. AKA these symbols with a little drunk math equal to Gamma, Alpha 1, 2 and Alpha 5. Additionally, if we pick apart this first symbol right here, we can make out 3 numbers, 3, 1 and 4, which show my surprise happens to be the exact number of the last log of SCP-752, which is the one that talked about the coup and the scientists I just mentioned. Oh, also if we take a triangle and put it in this image of the post and connect all of the 3 closest numbers, we get 752, aka SCP-752. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. But basically my theory is that a mutating instance of SCP-752-1 gets transferred to Site-02, and during a containment breach it escapes. However, it notices the scientists look really similar to its creators, the Edomian, or hell, maybe one of the original group members was found and bring to Site-02 for whatever reason. But either way, the 752 believes it's found the god that created them. It's scared, confused and goes somewhere where it feels home, aka it goes to the deepest point in the facility and hides in its vents, and then proceeds to make this Unga Bunga drawing in which it basically says, yo, if any more of you my brothers find this message, know that the god aka the creators Alpha 1, 2 and 5 are here in this site. Climb this tower spire aka the nuke elevator and you'll find them. But hold on, we are not done yet. In the article of SCP-752 it says in the case of a containment breach, protocol Shengun 47 must be implemented. Now it's unknown what this protocol is, but hear this out. So on this plate in front of the nuke room we can see it was built in 1874. Now if we split apart this year and flip the numbers we get 81 and 47. Now Chengdu was the summer capital of the Yuan dynasty under the rule Kublai Khan. Long story short, in the Chinese culture, especially during the period of his rule, the number 9 is considered holy and is almost always used in combinations of 9 rows of 9 for constructions and decorations of holy or royal buildings. AKA no doubt it was used in the city of Chengdu, and 9 rows of 9 is 81 by the way, so it's pretty silly that the founding year of this site with its numbers slightly switched up matches protocol Chengdu 47. Now this is all a bit of a stretch and is only a theory, a game theory, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait for 15.0 and really good lore nerds to look into this. So in conclusion, in my opinion, a humanoid creature who can crawl through the vents, can operate in darkness, is relatively intelligent and is completely open to being lore modified by Northwood as much as they want, is a much more edible and cool option for SCP SL, especially compared to the other SCPs on this list. Anyways, the next candidate is SCP-4051, your friendly neighborhood Keter. Now honestly, I'd say this kid is the least likely to be added for multiple very simple factors. First, this SCP works as an agent for the Foundation and his powers are making wormholes, which he can use to teleport and also to manifest items. Now I really don't know why would we wanna add Antimu SCP-106, which is also unchild and helps the Foundation, as if the SCPs haven't had it bad enough after the miniwaves were changed to spawn every few minutes. Besides, we can all agree that having a little kid with random abilities and goofy ass voice lines will make you crash out. So yes, this SCP is a possibility, but will need to be heavily altered, to be like a few years older and to be turned evil so he's hostile to humans whilst also using his abilities that aren't just a ripoff of SCP-106. Maybe he could open portals that shoot out sharp items or just summon items he can throw at people. Yeah, I really don't know. And the last candidate is SCP-239, the Witch Child, which is yet again literally a child which is basically powerful enough to do anything. And I mean anything, she's basically living life in creative mode, but the SCP Foundation gaslit her into thinking she can only do things by reading out the spells they wrote for her. But even with all of that, just to be safe, they put her into an internal coma. So again, this SCP is very much possible if she somehow started mutating whilst being sedated and is therefore being transferred to Site-02, because I mean she could very well be connected to the Site-19's complete disappearance, because well, she can literally do whatever she wants. She could have many abilities like rose attacks, deafening screams and literally anything. Infinite creative freedom for Northwood here to give her cool abilities and also to ideally age her by like 10 years, since mag dumping little kids probably won't leave the greatest impression for the game. Anyways, do you agree with my caveman theory, or do you think it could be an SCP neither me or anybody else mentioned? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you wanna see some terrible SCP SL ripoffs or wanna know what's the best SCP in SCP SL, then make sure to check out these 2 videos. Also a mega shout out to my Patreon member Jaws69 and also to Iffy. And also a big thanks to my channel members Zeko and John Computer Gaming. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you next time.